Hello everyone. Today we are going to start new topic, that is threads. POSIX threads. The implementation of threads in Linux systems. Okay. So very first thing that comes to our mind is many of your people have heard the name of threads and have some kind of fair bit of idea about threads. What is a thread? And you must have studied theoretically that some concepts about threads. One of the very important thing that is said about the threads is that a thread is a lightweight program, or thread is a sequence of control. So we will also address, tell you the same things and try to explain you what is threads. So what is a thread? Suppose you have a program that is executing, and these are the statements in the program. All these are statements. You know how to run the program. You run the program and all the statements will run sequentially one by one. Okay, but look at these 5 different strands. So we have executed this program 5 times: the green, the purple, the blue, the red, and the yellow. All these strands are various executions of the same program. So we have, in other one way, executed these programs 5 different times, 5 different executions of the same program. That's fair bit. That's understood. That's very simple. You execute program once, and the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time. No, it's not like that. You have executed a program 5 times, not one after the another. You have executed program 5 times simultaneously, at once. 5 executions of the program are called strands of execution. It is a sequence of control, set of statements that are executed. Concurrent means all the 5 executions happened at once, executed different cores. If there are 5 executions happening, they will execute on different cores. Earlier you were using processes, and processes were executing on the single machine. When the processes were executing on the single machine, the processes were using one core of the CPU only. But when you execute a multi-threaded process, then all the threads that the strand of execution in the program execute simultaneously on different cores of CPU. So if there are 4 threads created in the process, all the 4 threads will execute simultaneously, concurrently, and will execute on different cores of the CPU. Okay. Another thing about this, when a thread executes, it executes like this. Like, very first thing, let me just copy this for you and put it in the Jamboard, and some more things has to be added to this. Let me put it in the Jamboard for you. Here. Okay. So all these are statements of the program, statements in the program. Strand of execution is what? The strand of execution is sequence of control, is a sequence of control good evening, sequence of control, that is the set of statements that are executed. When I say concurrent and executing on different core of the CPU, concurrent means executing simultaneously. Executes on different cores of CPU. So effectively what happens is the program spreads on other cores. Okay, and the process spreads and executes on all cores of the CPU. Then this. Now what happens is, there is another thing about threads which I'll tell you here. Suppose this is your process context. Your process context. Inside this process context, you have a stack segment. Suppose this is your stack segment. This is your data segment. And this is your code segment. So this is the process context you have, you know, where this is your Now what happens? You execute a thread in this. Okay, you execute a thread, and thread executes like this. Whenever you create a program, one thread will always be created, and that thread will be one thread will always be executing in your program, and this thread will be called M for main thread, which is your main function. Actually, this main function that we are talking about, main function executes as main thread in your program. So main that you execute, you have been executing main as a function, but internally it executes as a thread. Okay. Then you have created another thread, and another thread is also executing in your program. Suppose this is another thread of execution, say thread 1. Then when the thread 1 will execute in your code, then this portion of the code, which was a stack segment, is actually shared between the new thread and the old thread. Now the two threads will have their own stack regions. Both stacks, both thread 1 and thread 2 will share the same stack segment, but within the same shared stack segment, both the threads will have their own respective stack region. It's like, suppose you enter into a class and there are seats in the class to sit. You share the classroom, but within the classroom you will have your own chairs. Similarly, these threads, when execute, suppose there is another thread, every thread that will execute in the process, every thread will have its own stack region. Every thread will have its own stack region and will be part of the same process, and will have the same stack segment, but within the same stack segment, every thread will have its own stack region. Okay. So every thread have its own stack region. Have its own stack region within the total stack segment is shared among all threads, but within the shared stack segment, every thread will have its own stack region within the shared stack segment. Thank you, Gaurav. Okay. The threads will keep their own local data in their own local stack region. So every thread will have its own local stack region, and in the local stack region every thread will keep its own local data. Every thread will do different tasks, so every thread will have their own local data, and that local data of every thread will be kept in the thread's own local stack. Okay, is that point clear? This is how it will be done. Now, other than this, there are some file descriptors. The input file descriptor number 0, the output file descriptor number 1, and the error file descriptor number 2. These file descriptors are resources assigned to the process. Okay, this is your process context. Now, file descriptors are resources assigned to your process. Okay, these resources doesn't belong to thread. These resources belong to process. So, the file descriptors are resources assigned to the process. And are shared among threads. Okay, but if you create a new file descriptor, suppose you open a file and you create a new file descriptor, so the new file descriptor will be stored in some local integer variable. If you store the new file descriptor in a local integer variable, underlined word local. Local means in the stack of some thread. Suppose the main thread opens the file and creates the file descriptor. So the file descriptor will be stored in the stack region of the main thread. So it will be visible only to the stack region of main thread. Whereas the file descriptor and the stream connected to the file is a shareable resource among all the threads. But you have kept the file descriptor in the local region of the particular thread, so it will not be shareable at all. Okay, so we have to be careful when we program threads. Another thing about this is every process maintains a task structure, okay, which describes the process context. Okay, suppose this is stack region and this data segment and code segment. Now every process have a task structure associated with it, isn't it? You know this concept, I have told you this earlier also. Every process will have its own task structure. Inside the task structure you have so many fields, so many things. One important thing maintained inside the task structure is program counter variable for main thread. Every time you create a new thread, then for every new thread, a new program counter is created. So you will have a program counter created for main thread. You will have the program counter created for thread 1. You will have the program counter created for thread 2. You will have the program counter created for thread 3. So for every new thread created in the program, you will have a new program counter. Why? Because in the shared code segment, this is a code segment. Every thread will have its own thread function. So internally, threads are implemented as functions. Threads are implemented as functions. Okay, threads are implemented as functions. So every thread have its own code to execute. So every thread is a function within the code segment, and is compiled before executing, just like any other code that you have been compiling and executing till date. Okay, so these are nothing but functions, thread functions. So this is a thread function. These are thread functions. Okay. Now, but all the functions are compiled and put together in the same code segment. So they share the code segment, but every thread is a new function. That is why every thread will need a different program counter. Different program counters belong to different thread functions. For example, the program counter 3 will move inside this function only, first statement to the last statement. The program counter 2 will move in its own corresponding function, thread function, from the beginning to the end. The program counter for each and every thread will have its own exclusive program counters, and all the program counters will move in its own exclusive functions only. Therefore, every time you create a new thread, a new program counter is created in the task structure, and a new thread function starts to implement on other core of the CPU, whichever CPU have lesser load. Okay, this is how threads are internally implemented. Yes, Chandu. They will share the code. So obviously they will share the code. There is a concept called thread pooling. Now, how the threads will share the code will be described by the thread pooling. That we'll address later. We'll address those issues also. So, another important point that I would like to put here. Program counter is created in task structure for every thread. Okay. Every program counter refers to statements within its corresponding thread function. Okay. So this was about threads. Now more about threads. Let me remove whatever I've written in the new Jamboard and write some more stuff has to be written and explained. Okay. Now, about the process context. The process context maintains a thread identification table. The process context will maintain a table. This is a table. This table is called thread identification table. This table looks like this. It will have fields like thread ID, thread function pointer, thread attributes. See, whatever I am telling you right now, you will not find it in any books. The reason is no books were written on threads after 2017, and ever since the launch of kernel 5.x version, the concept of threads are changed. What I am telling you is the latest. Then you have thread arguments. Then your reference to thread stack. Thread stack. And then you have exit code of the thread, exit code pointer. So these are the fields that you have in the thread identification table, which is maintained within the process context when the thread is created. Okay. Every time a new thread will be created, an entry is made for every element. The exit code will be a pointer pointing to an empty space. When the thread will finish, then the exit code of the thread will be stored in the location where this pointer will be pointing. Every time a new thread is created, the thread's details are captured in this thread identification table. Okay. This table maintains metadata about created threads. All fields are initialized. All fields are initialized except exit code, which will be initialized upon thread exit. Okay. So this thread identification table is maintained in the thread every time the thread is created. Is it okay? Thread identification table. New stuff in new Django. Coming back to the presentation. Every thread will have its own local stack area within the shared stack segment. I already explained you this. Every thread will have its own local data in its own local stack region. Multiple strands of execution in a single program are called threads. A thread is a sequence of control set of statements to execute. All threads have at least one thread of execution called the main thread. All the different threads or strands of execution execute simultaneously concurrently. All the strands of execution execute on different cores of the CPU if available. Important points, isn't it? When you start a new process, then a new process context is created and the task is done. But using the thread, you can do the same task without creating a new process, just by creating a new thread within the current process. It is also called a lightweight process because it will do everything that a process can do, but within the process context, so it's called a lightweight process also. Every thread is implemented as a function, as I explained you here. Every thread is executed as a function. Every thread is implemented as a reentrant function. Now, what is this reentrant function? This is the property of the thread function. Thread functions are not ordinary functions. What happens in ordinary functions is this. Ordinary functions are functions that you have been creating, that it works like this. Suppose you have the main function. From the main function you execute the main function. Now the main function will here call a new function, suppose. Then the new function starts to execute. When your new function executes, then your new function executes. While your new function executes, the main function is paused. Main function goes in pause, does not execute. When the new function finishes execution and returns the control to your function, then your main function starts to execute again. Okay, so the calling function pauses when the called function starts to execute. Isn't it? It resumes execution when the new function is over. Whereas in the reentrant functions, scenario is different. Reentrant function. The main function will execute. Suppose somewhere the main function calls a new function. Then the new function is called and the new function executes on other core of the CPU. Does not cause the main function to pause execution. Main function also continues its execution and the new function also continues its execution on two different cores of the CPU, and both the functions execute simultaneously on two different cores of the CPU. It is possible that the main function process goes further and calls the same function one again. So you will have another instance of the function one executing another function one, same function is called again. So you can have multiple instances of the same function executing simultaneously on different cores of the CPU. This is the reentrant property of the function, and the thread functions have this property. In reentrant function, what happens? A statement. The called function, the calling function, and the called function both execute simultaneously on different cores of the CPU. Okay, this is the reentrant property of the thread functions, and all the thread functions which are created within the process context, all these functions are reentrant functions, means they will execute simultaneously together at the same time concurrently on different cores of CPU and will work on their own local data in local stack. Every thread is implemented as a reentrant function. Every thread will have its own local stack within the shared stack segment. Therefore, every thread will have its own local variables, and the local variables are one thread will not be visible to another thread. The code segment, data segment, and library segments are shared global variables and data segment. The data segment is a shared segment among all threads. Because the data segment is a shared segment among all threads, therefore the global variables are shared among all threads. Okay. Yes, Vedant. Every thread function, when invoked, runs on a different core of the CPU. No, you have two cores. So two threads will run on two different cores of the CPU. No, you will be able to work n number of threads on the two cores, and the threads will be shared among two cores. Yes, Chandu. Yeah, when you have only one core, then also the threads could be implemented, but all the threads will execute on the same core. Same one and only core. So you'll not be able to draw the advantage as such. You can draw the advantage in many cores. Data segment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, can you repeat that? When you write a new thread, you have to write a new thread function. And when that new thread function will be created, it will run on different core of the CPU as a reentrant function. Okay. Data segment is shared. Some important tables are also created, like I told you, the thread identification table. Other than that, the tables that we created, like file descriptor table, the memory descriptor table, which lists the dynamically allocated memory, the resources allocation table, which lists all the resources allocated, deallocated to the process. These were already present, and new thread identification table is what I introduced today, which is created when the threads are created, and all the newly created threads metadata is listed in the thread identification table, as I showed you on the Jamboard just now. All the threads share signal handlers. Now, when you have signal handlers, then all the threads will share the signal handler. You will write a signal handler. You have learned how to write signal handlers, haven't you? Now, when you write a signal handler, every signal handler function is also a separate function, separate code, isn't it? Now, that particular signal handler function code definition of the function is shareable among all the threads. I repeat, the signal handler function definition, the code, is shared among all the threads, but every thread have to exclusively register the signal handler for itself. Every thread have to register the signal handler itself, but once registered, then they will be able to refer to the same signal handler code. Okay. Then it's a huge advantage that you have advantages related to thread, like the overall cost is significantly less to do the task, because every time you had to do some task, you had to do some new process, you had to do some new process had to be created. But here you don't have to create a new process every time. You can share the same process at a space, implement a new task, which will ultimately go ahead and implement the complete task for you within the process using the thread. Threads work in a tightly coupled manner on a shared data. The data segment is shared. Because the data segment is shared, so you will be able to share a lot of data, and you can say that the different threads execute in a tightly coupled manner on shared data, which is shared by placing it in the data segment. Significant performance achievement could be achieved by performing different operations simultaneously. Now what happens is, if you have multiple cores of the CPU available, then when you implement multiple threads, all the threads spawn and move to the different cores of the CPU, so the throughput is definitely more, and there is performance improvement, and the better utilization of hardware as well. If you would have not implemented threads, then however big process you would have implemented, that would have executed on one core only. Other cores would have been sitting idle. But when you create a threads within the process, then every new thread spreads onto a different available core of the CPU, and the processor utilization from the executing application is better. Switching between threads is less demanding. You have to suppose you have 2-3 threads running on the same core of the CPU, then switching between threads is very less demanding as compared to the complete process context switch. Okay, but there are some disadvantages of threads as well. The biggest disadvantage is timing faults. Number one, so many threads will execute simultaneously on your system, and it will be very difficult for you to synchronize those threads. There will be a lot of timing faults, and debugging is challenging. Second is, debugging is very difficult because you'll have so many threads executing simultaneously using different hardware resources in the machine, that it will become very difficult at time for you to debug the threads. The multiple threads within the process would give performance gain only if sufficient hardware is available. Means you should have multiple cores or redundancy at the hardware level, so that you can have multiple cores executing, so that you can have multiple threads executing, and you should have available hardware resources as well, isn't it? Otherwise it will become difficult to have advantages from threads. Every thread function is a re-entrant routine, okay, that I have already explained to you. I hope you are able to understand whatever I discussed today. This is the basic information I have given you about threads. I have also please go through it once again, and if you have any doubts, you please come back to me, ask me through the YouTube comments or through the discussion forum.